Hi, and welcome to the Club Solutions Leadership Viewpoint. My name is Ralph Reyes, and today I'm joined by Mark Harrington Jr. He is the president and CEO of Healthworks, Republic Fitness, and GymIt, and a good friend of mine who I've known for a very long time and had the opportunity to do some functions and many meetings with. So very happy that you're here, Mark, and thank you for agreeing to do this.
Excellent, Ralph. Thanks for having me, and thank you to Club Solutions for this amazing series.
Yeah, good. Well, let's create some context for people, Mark, and just maybe do a little bit of introduction of you and the brands so people can get a picture of what Healthworks, GymIt, and Republic are all about.
Yeah, I'm really proud to be serving as a leader in a really long-standing family business. My parents started this business way back in 1977, and through almost 48 years, we've been innovating and establishing incredible brands and experiences for our members. Where we stand right now is we operate 5 different brands under our umbrella. We've got Healthworks Fitness, which is our original brand from 1977. It's a premium women's only club. We have Republic Fitness is a premium co-ed club. We have GymIt, high volume, low cost, all gender club. We've got a management company called First Fitness Management. And we also operate a 501c nonprofit where we give kind of free or low cost fitness to the community.
Yeah.
So yeah, amazing stuff.
And you've been in the business for quite a few years now.
Yeah, I'm going on 14 years. Before that, I was in IT consulting. So I hopped on a plane every week, flew somewhere on Monday morning, did some really amazing work and kind of flew home every Thursday night.
Yeah. Now, and Mark, you guys are in Boston and Boston centric, right?
Yes, yeah, all up in Boston metro area.
Yeah, and I've been fortunate enough to be to all your facilities except the corporate facilities. And I think that, yeah, the spirit of innovation that you all have had has been amazing. Like looking at the different brands you mentioned about expanding and evolving, talk about maybe like a little bit about what drives that in the organization.
Yeah, it's been part of our organizational DNA since the beginning. Is we're always striving to be better, and we're always striving to stay basically ahead of the curve on what is relevant or what is going to be relevant in the next few years. So way back in 1977, we started a women's only club. That was kind of unheard of, and especially when the focus on quality and programming came into place, it was kind of ahead of its time then, and kind of we've kind of stayed innovating all the way since then.
Yeah, and they remain very successful today in the age of, unisex bathrooms and, sort of the changing times. The women's only clubs have remained very successful.
They have, yeah, we're still extremely proud of the brand and really the sense of community our staff and our members have, and really the premium experience we can create for them all is amazing. They're kind of, I would say, still kind of the base bones and driver of our overall business.
Yeah, and they're beautiful clubs. I think you just redid one of the facilities, didn't you?
We did. We just finished the third renovation in 3 years, and really tried to make sure they have kind of the most modern amenities and most modern look and feel.
Yeah, I do think that's probably one of the reasons why you guys stay at the top of the game is because you are redoing and reinvesting into all the facilities physically all the time.
Yeah, we have this conversation that I think good clubs tend to get better, and clubs that are struggling to do some of these updates, it's kind of a downward spiral. And we were kind of talking to a bank about one of our competitors, and it's just so important to keep them up to date and fresh, and you just can't stay relevant in the market if you don't invest.
Yeah, and I think the members feel it, the staff feel it, everybody feels it.
Yeah.
All right, so let me just ask you this one more question about facilities, and then we'll get on to the leadership stuff. So as far as managing the corporate centers versus versus the membership facilities. What do you find to be easier or harder, or what are the unique challenges between those two?
Yeah, it's an interesting world to straddle the two.
Yeah.
We have an amazing partner in the managed division, and kind of pretty early on, he taught us that it is all about experience. Um, I think when you're running a club for someone else on someone else's brand, um, your top priority is creating the experience that brand you're running the club for is looking for. Um, and it's interesting, a lot of these clubs that experience and basically honing in on the specific experience that customer wants is more important than kind of the traditional metrics that a health club looks at. So we're more concerned about that customer experience than we are kind of how many sales we do in a month, what our attrition is.
Yeah, yeah, because for a corporate center, right, they're all about how many people are using the amenity so I can keep my rents high and keep my occupancy in my buildings high versus a membership dues number.
Yeah, and they don't like to hear bad news. So the last thing you want to hear from a CEO of a business who's renting out a few floors in your building is that they tell the property manager they have a bad experience at the gym. That's a position that we're pretty clear is never going to happen.
Well, I think
So
it's pretty fair that nobody likes to get bad news, Mark, but I
yeah,
understand. I understand what you're saying.
yeah,
So a big focus of what we wanted to do today, and I thank you for that background, because I do think it kind of it gives the people a picture of what they're talking about, because you guys are very large, very impactful clubs. But I wanted to talk about culture, right, and leadership and your organization, because I do know you spend a lot of time, effort, and thought on this area. So let me ask you this. So you worked your way through with the company through COVID. You've come out on the other side more successful than prior to that. So what has been sort of the change between the time COVID to now, and how you've been able to navigate those waters?
yeah. I think this could probably be an entire discussion just on this one topic, but I'll hit a few points.
Yeah.
Um, I'd say COVID forced us to, and if looking at a positive light, gave us the opportunity to re-examine our entire business. Um, Most of the time, we are kind of so consumed with the day-to-day operations and the strategic thinking, and how do we kind of keep moving forward, that when you're forced to shut down and cut expenses by such a drastic level, it was an opportunity that we could re-examine every single business process we had, every single person on our team and what their role was, and said, is this essential for us to come out on the other side? And if not, we're not going to do it. And it helped really provide like a light on what are the essential processes we have to do and we have to do well. And some other processes that have kind of stayed over time, are they really necessary?
Yeah,
Uh,
and maybe give us, is there maybe an example that comes off the top of your head of maybe something you decided that, and now a couple years later, like, no, that was the right decision and you haven't brought it back, or something like that?
yeah, I'd say the biggest fundamental thing we did is we eliminated our sales team, um, and that was due to necessity, and it was also due to how complicated we had made our business based on kind of how the memberships were structured and the promotions were structured. You really needed someone to explain to this person joining everything they were getting and learning when they did that. So what we did during COVID is we streamlined it. We said, how do we make this incredibly simple that can be shown on a few full bullet points on a website, and um, one, which makes it so a no-brainer, so someone doesn't need to be sold, they know they want to join, and two, that it's so straightforward they don't need someone to explain it.
Hmm.
Um, and then how do we transport that role so we still have the business needs of what the sales team was, but look at it in a more flexible manner. So pre-COVID, we had, I don't know, 1 to 5 salespeople per club. They were great. They were super passionate about what they did, and they were a big part of our team.
Yeah.
But what we have now is we have we have a remote team, which has an amazing leader and several part-time people that are located all around the country. And these are people that love to talk on the phone. And kind of in our pre-COVID world, it was always a struggle to talk to the sales team about talking on the phone and did you call them and what did they say? Because they kind of thrived on the in-person environment. Whereas now, kind of with this transform thing, we have a lot fewer people, and they're okay making 200, 300, 400 phone calls a day because they drive on that interaction and they're native on the phone.
Mhm.
And then we've transformed our in-cloud function. So we now have a team of assistant managers that oversee the entire business and all have a joint role in making sure kind of both prospects and members walking the door have a great experience and have great service, regardless if they're current, former, or prospective members.
Now, Mark, when you say when you reinvented the business and using maybe the sales, changing the sales process as an example, when you say how did you go about this process? Who did you involve in this, and what did that look like from a leadership standpoint?
Yeah, I would say in the dark days of COVID, kind of our company, unfortunately, had to scale back, and we had our general managers and our fitness directors and our personal trainers. And unfortunately, due to being closed for such a long period up here in the Northeast, that's all our team was for a long time. And we did everything. And kind of through that process, we talked about this, we talked about the key points, and we spent the time to really think about how should this be done if we really had the opportunity to start over.
Yeah. So now one of the things that we talk about a lot is being able to talk about things like rebuilding the business. But I mean, that takes a high degree of trust for people to be able to speak their opinion, right, without worrying about if it's going to offend somebody, but really trying to get to the best answer. So I think that's such an important part of culture is how do you foster that type of culture where people are comfortable with speaking their opinion, regardless of, what the outcome may be?
Yeah, it's something I work on every day. And I think it starts from honesty and open communication. So I kind of from what we started in the COVID days was we had kind of these regular town hall meetings where all the staff, and unfortunately it wasn't that many at that point, were invited kind of into this, and I was giving an update on kind of this is exactly what's going on with both the public health news, our company, and our members. And it was open board. I let anyone was allowed to ask any question, either kind of directly on camera or through the chat. And at first, people were fairly timid, especially when you say have a personal trainer on the call. But kind of over time, they realized I was actually wanted to have these questions asked, and I was going to give them an honest and open answer with what the news was, even if it wasn't good news. And back then, a lot of it wasn't great news.
Yeah. So, and even fast forwarding, when I was out in your clubs, it was in December. Now I could see, because I was there for several days doing sessions with your team, I could see that you presented you have an attitude of come tell me, right? And I could see that in the staff where there was things that just were going on that just happen in daily operations. But I could see that for you, it was like you wanted to know, and you had that sort of that aura of come tell me. I think that's a huge part of being able to set up that culture. Is that something that you've kind of I don't know, consciously cultivated in yourself, or is that something you've had to kind of learn?
I would say it's definitely learned, and I've been fortunate to have really great mentors and training sessions. And um, years ago, one of them talked about simple changes to language.
Mm.
So I try very purposely when I'm talking to a staff member, I don't say, "Is there anything I can do for you?" Because a lot of people aren't going to want to tell their boss or their boss's boss that. And instead I say, what can I do for you today? And if they say nothing, I say, really, there's nothing I can do while I'm here visiting your club today. And I really try to impart on them. I'm not just asking this because it's something you should say. It's
Right.
because I'm here in person because I want to be a resource for you to either talk about a problem you're having, um, get toured and see your pool generator and what your pool filter and what you're not happy with, or really go talk to that staff member that might need a little uplift. And that's why I'm there to kind of to support them and do the work. I'm not there just to have my face seen.
Yeah. Or to dictate, right? Or to order, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's awesome. That's exactly what I did see when I was there too. Let's talk about a few other things that I do, because I know you do a lot to build culture in all the companies. So maybe give me a couple other examples of, because we talk about culture in sort of companies have their core values and they've got their beliefs, right? But the culture is really those things brought into action. And when those two things mesh, then that feels like a real culture. And so tell me about what are some of the other things that you do to cultivate good culture?
Yeah. I would say you can always do more, but I'm happy to give you a few examples.
Yeah.
We we're passionate about caring. Um, and a lot of times, um, say a manager is coming to me and saying, kind of, what do you think we should do in this case, whether it's a member or a staff member? Um, I'm going to ask them what would you want to happen to you in that circumstance, and how is the situation going to result so kind of the person on the other end feels like we care for them and feels like they belong as either a staff member or a member here, um, and kind of really do that. And I think kind of a really overall effort that I try to treat my direct reports like that, and I'm encouraging them to treat everyone else on the team kind of in a similar fashion.
Mm-hmm.
um yeah, kind of other stuff we do is we do try to systemize stuff. So we really try to work on communication and kind of open channels of communication in all directions. So we do daily huddles, where kind of myself and kind of our other executives are on a call every day at 107 with our general managers, and really looking to basically, communicate both ways. So kind of it's a standard huddle where I'm telling everyone what I'm working on today and kind of where my stucks are and where I could use support. And I'm really listening to the rest of the team to do that. And it's a network effect where each general manager then does it with their own leadership team.
Yeah,
Um,
cascades down.
yeah, cascaded. So we really try to get some of those are before ours, some of those are after ours. So we really are trying to get within a 24-hour period that kind of within one level, the executives, the senior leaders to kind of junior managers are all kind of looped in this cascading communication, um, that goes both up and down to make sure that kind of everyone is totally tied in and feels supported and is really on the same page with the direction we're heading in.
Mm-hmm. Nice. And I know that you have a big gesture that you do with the team pretty much every year. 'Cause I think every year coming back out of COVID is you do a big trip for a group of people, and like a big trip for culture building and team building and reward. And so can you tell us about that?
Yeah, we have this, we call it our incentive trip, and it's been long standing. No one really knows when it started, but we know it's been over 20 years, and it may be approaching 30, but there's some murky history back in the 90s. Um, and it is basically a time to recognize that no individual member of the team, or that no, we can't accomplish our results as a company without every individual person of a team working as a team to do it. So what we do is if a club meets its total revenue goal for the first 9 months of the year, um, all of the full-time staff members of that club And then all of the part-time staff members for that club, based on that have been there for a few years, are invited to come on basically a tropical incentive trip. So Puerto Rico is our most popular destination. So last year we went down and we kind of had a large group. There was 60 or 70 people from kind of all departments. The housekeeping team was there. Our trainers were there, group fitness instructors were there, leaders were there. And we just went down and had fun. We actually try to make it not programmed. So we try to make it as really people should do what they want to have fun. And we try to have one picture, and really that's the only required activity is please show up when we're trying to take a picture of everyone that came.
Yeah. I imagine there's groups that sort of naturally connect, and there's things that I would think probably just naturally kind of happen anyways, even though you don't require it.
Yeah, it definitely happens. And I think we're all at the same hotel and sharing a few different air flights. So there is a lot of connectivity, and we do keep an eye out for kind of one-off employees. So that last year, one of our remote sales team members, she had never met a single person in the company in person before this trip. But she came down, and like we were sure that she got to meet some people, and she had a great time. Kind of all these people she was on video and on email with, she kind of saw in person.
So, and Mark, I know that you are very financially careful, and I'm sure you've done the, sort of the ROI on this trip, probably almost every year. I would imagine you evaluate it. So for people thinking maybe like, oh my gosh, I couldn't even imagine the expense of that. Can you just talk a little bit about what you feel like is either a hard or soft return on investment on doing this?
Yeah, we're pretty good at estimating the cost right now and about how many people are going to go. So it's in our budget from the beginning. And we look at kind of all of our employee benefits, and we have this wish list of these are employee benefits we want to add, these are employee benefits we want to enhance. And as part of this list, it's part of our total budgeting process, where, well, we really don't want to take anything away. But when we're looking at our numbers for the year, it's all taken account for the year. So kind of if the revenue goals are hit, we've already accrued all the money for this trip, and we are super excited to go. It's not like we have moved on to accrual accounting for better or worse. So we've been expecting it as a 12-month thing, and it's not like I'm having to write a check that wasn't expected. And really, we spend a lot of time looking at how do we create the employee experience, and this is kind of the most fun aspect. But yeah, more boring things are like how many days of PTO do you have? What is our 401k match? We kind of this summer we increased our 401k match in July. We rolled out health insurance, and we actually lowered what employers are paying for health insurance starting effective September 1st. We added quite a bit of paid time off on January 1st of this year. So we're always looking at what is this package that will kind of help the employee experience and really make sure they know how much we value them and how important they are to our team.
Yeah, and I imagine that's all about retaining your very best people, and that's your financial return, right? With the lack of turnover, the year-over-year experience, and sort of knowledge grown year over year, mistakes avoided because these people are experienced. All those things, I'm sure, I have a significant return on investment.
Yeah, for sure, and attracting new talent too.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah, because I mean, in downtown Boston, I'm sure it's very competitive to hire people.
It is, and I think what we look at is we're not necessarily competing against other gyms or other fitness centers to hire talent. We made these for like specific departments, but overall we're looking, how do we compete against the software sales company down the block that is offering this to one room and while we can't compete in every single area, a culture and experience is one of the areas we can compete in.
Mhm. Yeah, that's awesome. So if you were giving advice to maybe a club operator out there who wasn't quite happy with where their culture was, where would you advise would be a great place to start?
Um, I would start with honest feedback. And kind of depending where you are in the cycle, that may be an anonymous survey, um, that may be kind of taking some frontline new employees out to coffee, that may be directly asking your leadership team, and really try to understand where the team is loving things, and where they feel like they're being slighted or they're not feeling valued, um, and start to work up from there. And I think every company is different and starting from a different place.
Yeah, yeah, I guess, yeah, and just that willingness of hearing whatever the story is, right, with an open heart, I guess would be kind of the thing is what you're saying.
Yeah, and it's like I think I often hear stuff I don't want to hear, but it helps me make better decisions, and it drives me to do better and be better next year than I am this year.
Yeah, yeah, well, that's awesome, Mark. Um, any final advice or suggestions that or thoughts that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I think it kind of depends on any area. I'd say one of the biggest issues we're having in our metro area is inflation, and especially the cost of housing. Um, and we spent an incredible amount of time looking into kind of what are these driving factors that are impacting our teams directly, um, and saying this is a reality on the ground. They're paying. I was talking to one employee that's paying, um, what I paid for a 4-bedroom apartment when I graduated college. They're paying for a 1-bedroom apartment, and just kind of these costs that these team members are having to experience really are making us look forward and make sure that kind of we are taking care of these employees to the level they need to be taken care of, because you need to take compensation off the table, and you need to take kind of benefits off the table. There's a bare minimum that someone in an urban environment needs, to be a productive and supporting member of your team. And for us, it's been eye opening, and we have aggressively pushed our pricing and been honest with our members that we're doing this because we need to take care of our team.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I guess that just flows up into business decisions on how you price things and how you run the business in general in order for that whole equation to work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mark, this has been awesome. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. I think the fitness industry is very fortunate to have you as part of it. I know you participate in a lot of different things. So thank you for sharing some of your leadership wisdom with us today.
Excellent. I appreciate it. And I know you asked me to come with a quote, so I pulled one if you want that.
Oh, I love it. Let's do it.
Uh, so this is kind of part of my theme, and my favorite business author is Patrick Lencioni from the Table Group. So this is kind of one of the ones I think about a lot. Is he said, if if everything is important, then nothing is. And I kind of love that because it helps keeps our focus on there's only a few things that any single individual can focus on. And we really need to be geared in on what that is, and making sure that kind of the team and the organization is alignment on what those things are. And it kind of reminds me that while I would love to do 100 other things, my time and my team would be better spent if I focus on these few key, critical, important decisions.
Right. Right. Awesome. Well, very good, Mark. Well, we'll leave it at that. Now, again, thank you so much. And we'll talk to you soon.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Ralph. Thanks for
All
having
right.
me.